You ever feel like right when your life is finally starting to come together, something happens and you're right back at the beginning? Like you were doing better, you had momentum, you were more disciplined, and you were trying, and then somehow you're back in the same place again, not completely broken and not completely lost, but still not where you thought you would be by now. Like that right there is the pattern. And the reason it's dangerous is because it doesn't look dangerous. It looks normal. It sounds normal. It even feels responsible sometimes. You don't wake up and say, I'm about to sabotage my own progress. You wake up and call it something else. You call it a reset. You call it waiting for the right time. You call it needing more clarity. You call it needing more money first. But it's the same cycle. And until you see it clearly, you'll keep protecting it. Welcome to Lane to Wealth. I'm Claudie. I build across different wealth lanes and I pay close attention to capital behavior. Not just how money moves, but how people move when money shows up. And in this video, I'm going to show you 3 things. The pattern that quietly keeps resetting your life, how it actually plays out in real life, and what has to change if you want to stop starting over every few years, because this is not about hype. It's not even really about motivation. It's about structure. Let me show you what this pattern actually looks like. A person decides this year will be different, right? They start tracking their money, they wake up earlier, they stop overspending, and they finally commit. For the first time in a while, there is traction. Nothing dramatic, nothing flashy, just steady. Then something shifts. The results slow down, the excitement fades, and the progress gets boring. Nothing is wrong. That's the part people miss. Nothing is wrong. It's just no longer new. And once it stops feeling new, the mind starts negotiating. Maybe I need a better strategy. Maybe I started too soon. Maybe I need more money first. Maybe I should wait until things feel more aligned. And it sounds mature, it sounds wise, it sounds responsible. But if you zoom out, you see what really happened. Momentum got uncomfortable. And instead of tolerating discomfort, they interrupted it. They didn't fail, they faded. And if I'm being real, I know that pattern because I've done it. There were times I thought I was moving in the right direction, but I wasn't actually being consistent. I wasn't making a real plan. I wasn't putting God first. I kept telling myself I needed more money first. A lot of times I was waiting on my business partner to move the needle, waiting for more money to show up before we really moved. And I thought that made sense. I thought that was strategy, but it wasn't strategy. It was delay with a nicer name. I also thought it was normal to keep coming up with new business ideas. This one, then that one, then another one. Always thinking maybe the next ideal would be the real one, instead of staying with one long enough to actually build something. And if I'm being honest, I also wasn't doing the small things consistently. Not posting on social media, not waking up early, not doing the work because I didn't feel like it. And that's the kind of thing people overlook because it feels small. But small inconsistencies repeated long enough become structural instability. That's what I had to realize. The problem was not just money, the problem was the pattern. Here's another version of that same pattern. Someone finally has a breakthrough year, more income than usual, breathing room, options, and instead of stabilizing it, they quietly expand their life to match it. New expenses, new standards, new obligations, not recklessly, reasonably, right? That's what makes it so dangerous. It doesn't even look foolish, it just looks normal. But sitting with surplus feels unfamiliar. Saving aggressively feels restrictive. Long-term investing feels slow. Holding cash without touching it feels uncomfortable. It really does. So what happens? They expand until the pressure disappears. Back to baseline. Not because they're incapable, because their internal system is calibrated to a lower level. Most people earn to the level their nervous system can tolerate. If more money creates anxiety, they subconsciously create chaos to reduce it. If more responsibility creates pressure, they avoid it. If higher rooms make them feel exposed, they convince themselves they don't belong there. So income doesn't stall because opportunity disappeared. It stalls because identity hasn't expanded. You do not rise to what you want. You rise to what you can carry without panicking. Now let's be clear. This is not about shame. This is awareness, because once you see the pattern, you stop blaming timing. You stop blaming the economy. You stop blaming your past, and you finally ask a better question. What part of me slows down when growth gets uncomfortable? This is where change begins. And there's a verse that connects to this perfectly. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12, verse 2. Not just your bank account, not just your opportunities, your mind. Because if your mind stays the same, your pattern stays the same. Now let me make this practical, because this is the part that actually matters. How do you interrupt the pattern? Not in theory, but in real life. First, you stop letting your feelings decide whether you move. This one is simple but hard. If you only work when you feel like it, you will keep restarting your life. That means you need a schedule before you need motivation. You need to decide in advance what gets done, when it gets done, and what standard you keep, no matter how you feel. For me, that meant being honest that I wasn't posting consistently. I wasn't waking up early, and I wasn't doing the work if I wasn't in the mood. So the real correction was not try harder, it was build a structure that does not ask my feelings or permission. Second, you stop saying you need more money first, when what you really need is a stronger system. Because more money does not fix weak problems, it exposes them. If you don't know how to hold $10, $100,000 won't suddenly make you structured. So instead of asking, how do I get more money first, ask, what system holds the money once it comes in? Where does it go? What percentage is saved? What percentage is invested? And what percentage is used to build? If you have no answer, your money will keep disappearing into whatever feels urgent in the moment. Third, you stop waiting on people to move your life forward. And that was a big one for me, right? Waiting on a business partner, waiting on a better moment, waiting on more capital, waiting on the environment to feel more supportive. At some point, you have to face this. If your progress depends on somebody else doing something first, your life will keep pausing. That does not mean people never matter. It means your structure cannot depend on their mood, their timing, or their readiness. Fourth, you choose one direction and stay there long enough for it to become something, right? This is where a lot of people stay stuck and call it creativity. New idea, new angle, new start, new excitement, right? But the truth is, constant restarting feels productive because beginnings are emotional. Beginnings give you hope, Beginnings give you movement. Beginnings make you feel alive. And of course, I've experienced that. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, but wealth is not built in the beginning. It is built in the boring middle, the quiet middle, the repetitive middle, the part where nobody is clapping and nothing looks dramatic. So if you keep switching every time the work becomes ordinary, you are not protecting your potential. You are interrupting your own compounding. Fifth, you learn how to sit with growth without immediately turning it into a lifestyle. If money increases, your first move should not be expansion, it should be stabilization. Let your habits catch up. Let your discipline prove itself. Let your structure hold it. Because if your life expands faster than your character, your pressure will return. And once that pressure returns, most people say, see, nothing changed. Something did change. You just moved too fast emotionally to let it become permanent structurally. 6, you put God first, for real, not just in language. That was one of my biggest corrections. I thought I had God first. I really did. But when I really looked at my life, my decisions, my thought process, my patterns, I had to admit I wasn't actually aligning things with Him. I was still going with the flow, still moving emotionally, still trying to make things happen without real surrender, real order, real discipline. What changed for me was not just believing in God, it was starting to align my business, my discipline, and my direction with my faith. That changes how you move. Because when God is first, money stops being your master, your proof, or your source of peace. It goes back to being a tool. And tools are meant to be managed, not worshipped. If this is clicking for you, subscribe. Not for hype, not for noise, but because everything I teach here is about structural wealth, emotional regulation, stewardship, and learning how to stop repeating patterns that look normal but keep you stuck. And on some of these videos, I put together guides or deeper breakdowns for people who want to help applying this in real life. So if there's one for this video, it will be below. Now let's finish this properly. At the beginning, I told you most people don't stay stuck because they lack money. They stay stuck because they repeat something they don't recognize. Now you know what that pattern looks like. It looks like interrupting momentum when progress gets boring. It looks like needing a new beginning every time consistency gets quiet. It looks like waiting for more money when what you really need is stronger structure. It looks like depending on feelings or timing or another person instead of a system. It looks like expanding lifestyle before stabilizing discipline. It looks like saying you want wealth while still protecting the habits that keep you fragile. And here's what makes this even more dangerous in this generation. Most people are learning more than ever. Podcasts, books, YouTube, courses, conversations. They know more, they are more informed, but knowledge without structural change does not change outcomes. Information does not build wealth, structure does. So 5 years from now, a lot of people will know more and still be in the same place. Unfortunately, yes, because money does not respond to how much you know, it responds to who you become when growth gets uncomfortable. It responds to discipline, it responds to long-term thinking, and it responds to emotional regulation. It responds to stewardship. That's the shift. You don't need more content, you need interruption. You need to interrupt the pattern you've normalized, because whatever you protect, you repeat, right? And whatever you repeat, you reinforce. And whatever you reinforce becomes your level. And that feeling you started this video with, that why do I keep ending up back at the beginning feeling, now you see it, it wasn't random, it was a pattern. If this is clicking for you, go ahead and subscribe, because I'm not here just talking about money. I'm here to help you change your relationship with it, how to move it without being controlled by it, how to build it without worshiping it, and how to actually put God first and keep money in its proper place. And on some videos, I'll go deeper with guides or breakdowns. And if you want help applying this in real life, not just hearing it and moving on. And I didn't even realize I was the one slowing my own life down, right? That's the part nobody tells you. It wasn't bad luck, it was a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you can break it. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one. Love you all.